Welcome to the Deep Specialization Podcast, the show where we blend focus, strategy, and client intimacy in order to scale and simplify our businesses and our lives. I'm your host, Corey Quinn. Let's jump into the show. Today, I'm joined by the co-founder and CMO of Vendasta, Jeff Tomlin. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey, thanks for having me, Corey. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited. You and I maybe have crossed paths a couple of times. I've been on your podcast once, but even way before then, we were both operators in the small local business space with marketing and technology. So I've been looking forward to this interview for a long time. I'm excited to hear your story. Can we kick things off by just asking you to share with us about sort of the work that Vendasta does and who you are?
Yeah. So, in a nutshell, Vendasta builds technology for small, medium-sized local businesses to operate and grow. And that we started out providing solutions in the marketing stack and then in the advertising stack with our ad platform. And now we provide all sorts of different productivity tools as well. And we sell primarily through a channel. So, Vendasta isn't the biggest brand out there because we've been the guys behind the guys. And, it's changing somewhat in the way that we're going to market now, but primarily we've gone to market through channels by working with agencies and media companies and other technology firms that have massive amounts of small business customers, and we help them find better ways to go to market.
Yeah. And how many channel partners are you guys working with these days?
Well, we've got over 60,000 that are signed up to our platform, and several thousand of them are paying and larger customers and all the way from massive enterprises to small and medium-sized agencies.
So you're quite a substantial business, and although maybe not everyone's familiar with the brand Vendasta, you do power a tremendous amount of digital marketing online today.
Yeah, I had to pinch myself. I was just chatting with some team members the other day, going into our 17th year this year, and I can't believe it's been that long. It definitely doesn't feel like 17, and I definitely don't feel like I'm 52.
Yeah, I'll be 50 this year, so I know the feeling. It moves quickly, but
everything hurts a bit more. By the way, my son just joined wrestling. He's a 16-year-old. And he's in his second year of wrestling, and now he thinks he can take his old man, and so he hurts me, and I can't let on because I can't let him know that he's close to taking me.
Yeah, no, I just got over some kind of pull in my neck that lasted. Usually that would last like a day or two. It lasted 2 weeks, and that was from wrestling with my son. So yeah, it doesn't don't bounce back quite as quickly.
Old guy stuff.
So let me feed this back to you. So you're the technology and marketing stack for a lot of partners who leverage your technology to deal directly with the customer. So your primary customer are the channel partners. You don't necessarily deal with the small mom and pop businesses that are leveraging the technology. Is that correct?
Well, it has been up until just recently. In the last couple of years, we've got a couple of acquisitions, brands that we've bought that have different technology platforms in the marketing space and the sales space. So we purchased Yesware, and we purchased Matchcraft and a company called Broadly. So that's growing out our capabilities. But traditionally, what we've been focusing on is growing the capabilities of channel partners so that they can go to market more efficiently and serve their customers in a better way. And so the goal of our company has been to provide everything that a channel partner needs to build out different variety of solutions for their small business customers, and then build, market, bill, sell, and fulfill solutions. Market, sell, bill, fulfill, and deliver solutions to their customers.
Yeah. So could you help us by defining what a channel partner is in the context of your business?
Yeah, so anyone from small agencies to medium-sized and large national agencies. We work with technology firms, so tech-first firms like web.coms and cars.com that service particular verticals. We work with MSPs and VARs who are moving beyond just IT services and selling more MarTech type solutions these days. Media companies, traditionally, that's where we got our start in media companies. So that was newspapers, IYP, radio and TV solution providers. And then we work with franchise groups too. A lot of franchises operate as sort of the agency for all of their locations. And we work with those types of companies as well.
Fantastic. And so the big focus is not only providing the software and the technology platform, but also the means to help them to be successful in working with their customers using your technology.
100%.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We got there from, well, a bit of a story. Let me tell you the story. How
I was going to go right there. I'd love to hear. So how did this sort of unfold?
Well, the very first product that we got out into the space was reputation management. And when we started building the company, we were, and maybe I'll start there. We had to consult to eat, and we were lucky enough to, as we started the company, to get a 2-year contract to build some proprietary technology. And as we did that, 3 of us broke off and built a business plan for our own solution. Way back then, we were thinking of building a platform for homeowners to find and share inspiration about their home renovations and get connected with service providers that other homeowners recommend. And we were going to monetize referrals. And the way that we were going to do that was to build this the social network for homeowners to share things, inspiration about their home projects. And then we were going to build a reputation management platform provided for free to home service providers and put the two audiences together. And as we did that, the social network for homeowners never really took off, but we found that there's this huge demand for online reputation management. And because the way people shop was changing, this was back in 2008, 2009, and a small business's brand was less about what they would say it was in their advertising campaigns, and more about what user-generated content and online ratings and reviews that were being shared indicated. And so there's this massive demand for it. And as we decided to focus on it, we said, well, we've got 2 options. We could build out our own sales force, or we could partner with people. And at the time, we fancied ourselves as a technology-first group, and we didn't have experience building out massive sales forces. So we decided to partner. And we started out in the media space because the timing was perfect at the time. You remember back 2008, 2009, traditional media companies were facing this cliff of revenues, their traditional revenues dropping off, and they were looking for digital solutions to sell to their customers to build up their revenue. And so it was a fantastic fit. And at the time, we signed up, probably 75% of all of the major newspaper groups in the United States in a very short period of time. And we moved to IYP and radio from that. And then it grew. And we learned a couple of things through that process. And this is how the platform came to be. Our focus initially was on providing these point solutions for a small business: reputation management, social media management, helping post to social media, multiple platforms, local listing management, mobile optimized microsites at the time. So those were the small business tools. But we realized if we were going to sell through a channel, we really had to be all in the channel strategy. If you've got companies that are selling technology that they're not building in-house, they need to learn about the actual solution. They need to learn how to sell the solution. They need marketing collateral. They need tools to help serve their solutions and help, with things like billing to make it easier and integrating with the rest of their stack. And so, that's how we started, came to build out the entire platform around it, helping them first to market and then, sell, bill, fulfill, deliver all the solutions.
So I can imagine, especially with newspapers and Yellow Page, where they historically had these massive sales teams that were distributed across the entire country in multiple countries. So I can appreciate the need for being able to provide that to them. I'd love to back up even before 17 years, before you started doing the consulting and before you built the software. What was going on in your life that led you to consulting at that point?
Well, I got out of university in the mid-90s, and I had an economics degree. And the only thing I knew for certain was that I did not want to be an economist in any which way or form. And I couldn't imagine anyone who would want to be. And so, I got a job right out of university, cutting grass and painting fences and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. But I got together with some buddies and figured, and this was back in probably 95, 96, I thought you could make some money with this internet thing. And we built a website to sell resume and cover letter templates. And so we made a whole bunch of resume and cover letter templates in Microsoft Word, and they were just drop down boxes and form fields. And it was a terrible product, but it was just a zip file of Word documents.
Sure.
But, I learned how to write for the web, and I learned how search engines work and how to build traffic. We treated it like a hobby, but I sold $250,000 of Word documents. And that's sort of what got me hooked at the time.
Yeah.
And then, we went on to work for a company called Point Two Technologies, which built real estate technology. And, that's where we got into, building and selling software as a service. And I was hooked.
So specifically, it was you're building software for that company. It wasn't that you're providing marketing services specifically.
Right. And way back at Point Two, we were building software and providing it to real estate. And I was there from 2002 to 7. And when we started Vendasta in 2008, the company consulted for a couple of years because, in the early stages of a company, you've got to do everything that you can to get off the ground and take every bit of revenue that you can, any which way you can. If people are offering you money to do anything, you're taking it. And, that's what the early days look like. But we were fortunate enough, and I'll tell you a story about, how we started to build our own product. We started in 2008, and we began consulting right away. That let us eat. And the company that we were consulting for prepaid some of the contract, which actually let us hire a team and start working. And it's amazing. I don't know if we could have done that in today's day and age. But we built a business plan for our own technology, and we raised $3 million 6 months later to build our own platform. And we had no product, we had no reference customers, we had zero revenue. We just had a piece of paper, a business plan, and it's unbelievable how we were able to raise $3 million with just a business plan. I don't think you'd be able to do it today with no reference product and no reference customers at all. So we were incredibly fortunate, right place at the right time, met the right people, and we got a break.
So was the business plan specifically about the reputation management software at that time, or was it some other business plan or some other product you were considering building?
No, it was that plan with the homeowners, putting the homeowners together with the home service providers. And, the reputation management at the time was just half of the equation. It was just meant to be for the service providers, and we'd mainly make money off referral fees. It didn't work out, but you have to be, the first lesson that we learned there is, boy, you have to be able to pivot, and you see one thing that's working, abandon the thing that isn't, and quickly chase the thing that's got traction. And for us at the time, it was online reputation management.
And what was happening with that part of the product that told you that it had a lot of promise?
Well, we had just a free solution right at the time, and it was going to be something that we'd give away just in order to build an audience of service providers. But they not only signed up in the hundreds and thousands, but they were using the software. So we knew we had product fit, and we just had to figure out market fit then. And so then, that job was finding how we were going to sell it, and that's how we settled on the channel. And it tended to be, a very efficient way to grow our company. But, our success there was in being able to really figure out how we were going to service the channel partners and make sure that they were successful by providing them this suite of tools to grow.
How did you guys land your first channel partner? You mentioned it was newspaper groups to start?
Yeah, good question. And it's kind of funny. In our very early days, I think it was a company by the name of, there's two of them, they were landed at the same time. Sometimes they argue who was first and who was second, but they came very close together. And one was Hearst. And Hearst Media Services owns, a bunch of magazines, newspapers across the company. It's one of the largest privately owned media companies in the world. And we were at a conference, and we met a consultant who gave us an introduction, and she introduced us to the right person at Hearst. His name was Jeff Folkemer, who is the president of their local edge brand. And, that relationship led to us signing that. And Jeff was so impressed with the product that he brought us to New York. And the interesting thing about the newspaper space and why they turned out to be such a good partner for us is that newspapers and competing newspaper firms are surprisingly cooperative with each other because they don't directly compete in the same markets typically, right? They all own their different markets, and so they were really collaborative, and they shared with each other best practices really well, as opposed to most other industries that you'd think of. So when we got an invitation to go to New York, and Jeff introduced us and brought us into a meeting with heads of 10 of the other largest newspaper consortiums in the U.S. And that's how we really got in there.
Yeah, and at that time, was it still just reputation management, or were there other aspects to the software?
Well, at that time, it was just reputation management.
Right.
We quickly followed on the heels of that deal, providing other solutions that we built out. But at that time, that was the focus, and we did a really good job of it. Still, probably the top solution in the market, and it was the right solution at the right time to the right people.
And so, why not just double down on reputation management, continue to build that out, versus kind of build the next sort of logical product in that suite?
Well, that's a good question. So, number one, the reputation management space was a growing space, and we thought that there was a lot of opportunity there. But we had a hunch that our chances of keeping customers and our chances for our channel partners to keep their customers would be greater the more things that they could serve them at the time. And a lot of the MarTech solutions, especially social media management and local listing management, were all very complementary solutions. You have to build out a presence, and then you have to look right. And you need a good reputation because your presence. That was right around the time when search engines were getting an opinion. The ratings and reviews were showing up in line of search results. So not only was the search engine telling you that, hey, here is the result of what you're looking for, but it was telling you whether it was a good result or not a good result by having the ratings and reviews in line. And so the reputation management went hand in hand with SEO work and overall presence. And by the way, we followed up with research reports on churn. The small business space is sometimes challenging because there's a natural rate of churn in the space. Businesses coming into business and going out of business. And in the study we did, we said, is there any correlation with the number of solutions that you provide a customer to the rate of churn of those customers? And we found that, there was a threefold increase in retention if you sold 4 different solutions into a suite as opposed to just one. So that validated the decision to build out a suite of solutions.
Despite that, I've experienced that as well. Is there any one of the 4, let's say of the 4 best products and most popular products, that have a greater influence on retention than the others, or are they all equally?
No, it's a good question, and they drive. There's different behaviors that drive retention with each of those products. With reputation management, you can have very long retention as long as people are looking at the email alerts and they're just paying attention to what's going on that's still providing value. Something with social media management, it requires actual engagement with the customers. They have to use the software, and with a website, it's different. Websites are really, they have high retention because people, you've got the domain, you put it on your business card, and it's a real pain in the ass to change website platforms. And so they have different retention rates, but different types of behavior drives the retention in those products.
Yeah, obviously the best of all worlds is that they're heavy users of all the different sort of point solutions within the platform.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'll just share from my experience, having worked at a company that was a platform with services on top, company, Scorpion, as we talked about. Every single Scorpion client got a new website. Like, that was part of the product. You couldn't just hire us for SEO or for these other things. So as a result of that, what I witnessed is that it was just really fantastic retention with a website, especially when they start with you. They get a brand new website, beautifully designed, and they have a lot of sort of pride in their new storefront, their online storefront. It has a good impact on the retention.
Out of all the products, hands down, websites always have, and they always will have the best retention, I think, going forward.
So along the way, you mentioned you landed newspapers and then IYP. IYP stands for Internet Yellow Page companies.
Yeah.
Like they're called Yell in the UK, but here they're called Hibu or Hibu.
Yeah.
These type of businesses. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, today it seems like what is your sort of total addressable market when it comes to channel partners? You mentioned you have about 60,000 today, some huge, some really small. What's the total market of this space?
Well, when the market's enormous. When you look globally, in the small business space, and you look about 45% of all small businesses use some sort of agency. And then an even greater degree when you consider all the different technology service providers, it's up there. So it's about $238 billion if you look at just marketing and advertising type solutions and productivity. About $238 billion worldwide.
That's a good market.
Yeah, it's big enough, right? And room for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And the great thing about the market is that because things are changing so much, there's so much opportunity right now because, the average small business uses, over 3 dozen different pieces. And this is a very small business, 3 dozen different pieces of software to run different aspects of their business, from their accounting to their marketing. But as you get up to, a few dozen employees, 50 employees plus, it's super common to have over 100 different pieces of software for all different aspects of this. If you can look at all the different subscriptions, it's good, but there's efficiencies in getting them to talk to each other. And there's a lot of inefficiency right now in businesses and how they manage their different SaaS products that they use. And our big, hairy, audacious goal that we have out there is to provide everything that a small business needs to run their business efficiently, and tie it all together so that they talk to one another, so that businesses can automatically understand things like how much does it cost to acquire a customer automatically, right? What is the lifetime value of our customers, and our retention rate, our the cost of our sales, and our goods, and productivity assessments, and being able to take all of the different inputs from the systems that they use and provide them an intelligent assessment about how their business is doing and what they can do to make the business more efficient.
Agency owners, in 2024, do you want to finally escape founder-led sales? My book, Anyone, Not Everyone, gives you a unique solution to a big problem that digital agency owners face, serving too many types of clients. In my book, I guide you through my proven 5-step process, helping you to transform from a generalist to a vertical market specialist. The best part is the methods in this book are simple, authentic, and effective. It's been endorsed by well-known author Dr. Benjamin Hardy, legendary marketer Aaron Ross, positioning expert April Dunford, gifting expert John Rulin, as well as many leading agency owners and thought leaders. So whether you're a seasoned agency owner or just getting started out, my book, Anyone, Not Everyone, is your ultimate resource to unlock your agency's potential and scale revenue. The book launches in March, and the good news is that you can go to my website right now and sign up to be notified when it launches. You'll also get access to some early bonuses just by signing up to be notified today. Go to anyoneNotEveryone.com. That's anyoneNotEveryone.com. Now back to the show. And I think that solves a big problem. Like, a small business owner has enough problems, much less dealing with how to get these 15 different pieces of software to integrate and talk to each other. And then how do they onboard new employees, get them all this stuff. So I think the sort of the all-in-one value proposition is very strong, especially for a small business. But then How do you think about, or how do you talk about the other side of the argument? Let's say that people who say, well, an all-in-one platform is never going to have an amazing product on a function by function basis. The point solution software is going to be much more. It's going to have a lot more functionality, a lot more, whatever that is. Do you ever come across that argument?
No,
And how do you think about that? Yeah.
100%. And there's a few things at WeEye that we're gonna build because it makes sense with what we already have.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that we never plan on building. Procurement software, we're never going to build that. Certain inventory management systems, fleet management systems. We're not going to build those types of things. That's why, whatever platform, when you're thinking of an all-in-one platform, it needs to be an open platform that other technologies can plug into. And at the end of the day, we're not trying to be and build everything for the small business. We're trying to be the hub where it all connects, and we're the system. At the end of the day, we talk about having a system of intelligence. So, first off, a system that they use day in and day out for certain critical functions of their business, especially in the marketing, sales, and productivity, CRM side of things. But eventually, the goal is to have the system of intelligence where, we bring in all of the different information from the systems that they're using, and we tie it together to help them understand their business better.
And this is inclusive of sales and marketing and digital presence, but it's not limited to. So it's really the whole ecosystem.
100%.
That's interesting. That is big and audacious. I love that.
It's very big, but we can see a path to doing it. But like you said, you have to consider an open system. There's 100,000 different pieces of software, SaaS, brands out there right now, right? You need to think with an open mind and think about open systems that can connect together.
How do you differentiate or position Vendasta relative to your competition today? So let's say you're entering a new market. Let's say it's a new geography. Like, what makes Vendasta different than the alternatives?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it depends on who specifically we're talking to. But if you're talking about our channel partners, the biggest advantage that we have for a channel, if you're a young, small, medium-sized agency out there, is that we provide a lot of things that you need to run your business that are all connected together. And I'll give you a couple of examples of the advantages of having a connected system. And so we have a marketplace of products that you can sell. You can add your own proprietary things into the marketplace, integrate with it, and they automatically feed into this customer login. The reporting feeds into the customer login. The customers they only need to know one username and password. They go to one place for all of their reporting, one place to access all of their products. And you've got one way to bill your customers, one way to fulfill your customers, one way to market and serve. And so your CRM is there, your marketing system is there, your marketing automation system, your billing system is there, and your task management and service center is there, which has all sorts of automations. And having all those things tie into the products that you're serving gives you a certain level of intelligence about, number one, which prospects are showing the most interest along that journey, which ones are moving along the pipeline the fastest, and then once you've sold to them, which ones are showing interest, which ones are using the products the most, which ones are looking at other solutions in the marketplace that you can upsell. And so there's a lot of efficiencies to having a connected system when you're thinking about how do I scale my business.
Yeah. When it comes to ideal fit for your platform, what size agency, at what point in an agency's life cycle should they start looking at a partner such as you?
Well, we do have a lot of entry-level businesses that are using our platform, coming on and using it out of the gate. And it's a fantastic solution to get started, especially if people are very, very early in their life cycle, because it provides really a business in a box, the products to sell, the CRM and the marketing automation, your billing system, and the customer dashboard at the end of the day. So really ideal for that, but it's, medium-sized and larger agencies get a ton of mileage. We've got customers that we signed back in 2011, and we still have them on our platform. And you can see that all the way through our cohorts because they've built their business around our platform, and it's helped them scale in ways that they couldn't have imagined otherwise.
It's amazing. I love the value proposition of helping an agency owner to not get caught up in the minutia of the operations or the sort of the plumbing of the business, when they can focus on sales and marketing and working with customers, which is really some of the highest value activities that they can be doing.
And which you got to do in the early days, right? Like, that meat and potatoes, early days, you've got to be out there hustling.
Looking back now, you've been in business, 17 years. What are some of the sort of the major milestones along the way? You mentioned we went into the sort of the birth of the company and landing the first client. I love asking one question of founders: at what point did you hire your first salesperson?
Oh, well, we had a big founder group, right? There's initially 8 of us that started the company. One guy left shortly after we started, so we said 7 after that. But we all had a function at the time, and so if I was being really technical, we hired our one sales guy right out of the gate. But he was one of the founders. One of the sales leaders. We got to a point where we had probably 4 sellers, and we said, "Hey, we've got to scale this now, and so we need someone to put, form and function and repeatability into this." And so, his name was George, and we hired George probably 2013 or so, and scaled for many years, under his leadership.
What was George's background? What are some of the things that helped to make about him that helped to make sure that he was a success? Obviously, if he was stuck around for a couple of years, he helped you guys grow. What were some of the contributing factors?
Well, a few things. Number one, he had a background working at media, so he's an old media guy. So he knew how to speak to a lot of our customers and knew how to speak to them better than we did at the time. And although I think I was pretty damn good, but he had a ton of success in the media space. George also owned his own businesses, so he is an entrepreneurial-minded guy. And there's when you're talking to very young businesses and you're thinking, what type of people do you want to hire when you're very early on? And I would always say in the early days, you always want to hire entrepreneurial-minded people because you need people that can pick up the garbage and take the garbage out at the end of the day. They're willing to do whatever it takes to keep the business running and make it successful, and they're agile. So that the entrepreneurial mindset is super important. And then 20 years of sales experience went an awful long ways as well.
Beautiful. So media background, entrepreneur, sales experience, all those, the blending of all that. I think it sounds like a great fit. You mentioned it's 2013. What was the next major milestone in the business, would you say?
Well, there were a few in terms of the evolution of the business. So these would be the major milestones if I was going back to the beginning from a product and evolution standpoint. Number one was just having our first win with our point solutions, getting our first customer with reputation management. Everything got easier after we got our first customer, and getting that first one is hell sometimes, especially if you're looking at big ones. The second major milestone was realizing a year or two in that we had to be all in this channel strategy, meaning we need to provide tools for them to sell. This is when we built something we called a snapshot report that would allow our channel partners to put in the phone number of a potential business client, and it would tell them all sorts of different intelligent information about their online presence, so that the salespeople for our channel partners could go in and have really engaging conversations and teach. And it's still one of the most popular pieces of our platform. And that started helping us build more and more sales and marketing tools. So that led to our marketing automation system that was the sort of the second milestone. The third milestone was when we decided after building 4 different point solutions that we couldn't build everything that our channel partners asked us to. And that's when we built a marketplace of other third-party solutions that could integrate into our platform. And our channel partners could sell those, but still have one billing system, one place for their customers to log into. And the next milestone after launching a marketplace was to consider the billing system and the service center and focus on becoming an end-to-end commerce platform. And as you go through each stage of growth, as we did, it requires a different type of organization. There's a saying that says, you ship your org structure. So every time we made a big shift with these different milestones, we changed the way that we organized, and it's necessary.
Yeah. And speaking of which, how have you changed as an executive, as a leader over these 17 years? What are some of the milestones there, would you say?
Well, you start out and you have to be the guy that's helping take out the trash and mop the floors and do everything that needs to be done in the early days. And we hadn't, I hadn't built a business this size, prior to Vendasta, and you have to learn how to evolve. So from being the guy that did everything to the guy that builds teams, and then you have to think about how am I going to spend more time working on the business rather than in the business. Most recently I've stepped back from my role as CMO, and so my official title right now is co-founder, and it's going to give me the opportunity to work with more of our teams and try to figure out hard problems in the company that people are our different teams are trying to solve, that unlock different levels of scale. And I think the real trick to someone like me growing with your company is trying to figure out how to evolve from being the guy that wants to touch every single dial and knob and turn them and let go of certain things and focus on the business from this type of level.
What type of advice would you have for, let's say, the 17 year ago Jeff, or an equivalent, an agency owner who's just starting off in their journey and looking to kind of scale up a business?
Try a lot of different things. Don't be afraid of failure. Just learn, and learn very quickly. One of the things that a young organization needs to do is to embrace agility. And when we were a young company, that often gets mixed up sometimes with just thinking about agile software development and focusing on how do we be an agile software development. We focused on the Scrum methodology and things like that. But really what you learn over time, that thinking in an agile way is thinking in a way where you de-risk all of your decisions to the best that you can. And so you place very small bets, you prove things out, and you don't make massive bets without having a small investment that can prove out your thesis. And you do iterative improvement, and you do it all very rapidly. And so being an agile person and having an agile thought process is thinking about how do I de-risk all these assumptions and hypotheses that I have.
Did that lesson or that perspective come as a result of taking maybe a bigger risk and it not working out, or is that sort of more inherent in the culture of the business?
Oh, we took a lot of big risks that didn't work out. And no, I've got all sorts of battle scars and wounds to
What was the
share.
best one?
Oh, I don't know. Like, pick one. We one that I made more. Later on, back in 2019, we had a big conference that we were putting on, a third conference that we had, and really liked the way that we approached conference. They were incredible events, and I would say, well, I was impartial. I was putting them on. Best conferences that I've ever been to. I've been to hundreds. They were mine. But I went over budget by about $500,000, and which is not chump change to the business. But when I look back at it now, we made a big bet on the conference, and I think that that conference, it was some oversights that led to the overspend, but I think the conference itself was instrumental in helping us land a big round of funding in 2019. We, right on the heels of the conference, we had some of our prospective investors out at the conference, blew everybody's socks off, landed $40 million a few weeks later, and the rest is history. So it was painful a little bit, but I think the reward outweighed the.
Yeah, that's a nice silver lining right before COVID too. So it's good to lock that money in right before.
Yeah, well, and then COVID hit, and everything went crazy for a while, and then we raised a big round, it was about $120 million, and again, right place at the right time, and there's another takeaway. You got to take advantages of those moments when they come up, and that was another example of us just doing that.
What does the future look like for yourself or Vendasta?
Well, there's we're right now we're focused on bringing these different centers together, the marketing centers, sales centers, productivity centers into one place. And I shared with you what our big, hairy, audacious goal is, and we can see some of the fruits of that starting to come together now. So when I look at the future, I see a more intelligent way forward for small businesses to turn on critical function technology for their business, productivity solutions and CRMs, and being able to quickly get value out of them without doing all the plumbing. Your former CMO, you've probably got scars of implementing CRMs, and it's awful work. And those are the types of things that we want to help simplify throughout the course for the average business. And I'm really excited about it.
Well, I think given where we're at, it's 2024. There's software is eating the world. AI is here, and all of these things. I guess my point is that this is a real problem that small businesses suffer from today, and it's going to get solved, right? And it sounds like your brand, your history, your strengths, the relationships you have, it sounds like you're really well positioned to bring that to life. So and to be the one that's.
You're exactly right, and the things that we can do now with AI, it's speeding up innovation for the companies that are implementing it the right way, and that's probably what's driving my optimism in what lies ahead so much, because the rate of change and the rate of progress in tools that not just us but a lot of companies are providing is accelerating, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question. What's your motivation?
It's my motivation. I've got a few motivations, but one of them is my young son. I got a 16-year-old son. By the way, just off to wrestling nationals today. He flew out for that, and so I'm pretty pumped about that. But when I look back on what we've built and the legacy at Vendasta, I've always thought, ever since we started the business, hey, I want this young guy to be proud of Dad and proud of what we built. And so, at the end of the day, we want to build something that we're proud of. And for me, that means, making a difference and having a whole bunch of different stories behind us of businesses and business owners that we've changed their lives in some small way.
Well, the numbers are evidence that you're well on your way of achieving that goal. So, Jeff, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a really great conversation. It's been fun to learn about your journey.
Thanks so much for having me, Corey. It's been a pleasure being here, and hope to have you back on our podcast and do this some more.
I would love that. Thanks so much. That's it for today. I'm Corey Quinn, and I hope you join me again next time on the Deep Specialization Podcast. If you received value from this show, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.